episode of The Sky's the Limit. I'm your host, Dee Brown CEO. Joining me on the panel today, we have two guests. One of them get their cell phone together. Just give it to them. Take them off. So joining me on the panel today, we have two guests, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves before we get rolling.
I'm Ben Baltimore, Chief Administrative Officer for the P3 Group and President of Client Services at Self-Made TV.
I'm John Smith, Vice President of Higher Education, Public Infrastructure at the P3 Group and Clarksdale Ambassador.
And today's episode came about as a necessity, I think, to protect the community and citizens of Clarksdale from an individual that has essentially shown a lack of respect, a lack of concern, and have proven themselves to be a person of little character. And that person is Floyd Ingram, the editor of the Clarksdale Press Register. Now, Floyd has a bunch of infractions that we're going to have to unpack tonight. So we're going to walk our way through those one by one, and we're going to start with probably the least of the infractions that he has, which centers around his journalistic lack of journalistic integrity. So on October the 13th, the Clarksdale Municipal School District did a press release announcing the appointment of Dr. Toya Harold Matthews as the Superintendent of Education for the city of Clarksdale. On October 24th, Floyd Ingram copied the article verbatim and did not cite a source, did not put it in the paper as a press release, but released it as if it was his own work. And I think we all know at a very early age, we learned that plagiarism is a no-no, it's a non-starter. And as a writer who published articles in newspapers around the country, I know the importance of not plagiarizing. But Ben, just you are the nearest removed from school. What is your experience with plagiarism?
And I can take these back all the way to maybe third grade. Ms. Jean Cole was my teacher, and we learned in Georgia Oliver in elementary that plagiarism had no place in education nor in any publication.
And it's the highest infraction that, seemingly that a journalist can make, but I think that Floyd Ingram, through his racist antics and misogynistic ways, have proven that he can out that one though. But I want you to comment on plagiarism.
It's just another version of copyright infringement. So he's basically taking an article that someone else took their time and did their research and did their studies on Dr. Matthews and were compelled enough to write a story on her, and he just took it and took it by himself to say that he did.
But I think that it speaks to a larger problem, a larger pattern for this guy. This guy is misogynistic. He has no respect for women. He wants to invoke his will and his authoritarian mannerism on women. So so let's just talk about what he did just last week. Okay, there is a Clarksdale ambassador that everyone loved across the board, Miss Josephine Rhymes. Miss Rhymes taught me French in high school. Everyone loved Miss Rhymes. I've never heard anyone say anything negative about Miss Josephine Rhymes. And just last Thursday, I believe it was, Floyd Ingram became belligerent with her because he did not publish an article as promised on the appointment of Dr. Matthews to superintendent. Now, here's an African-American female who's a trailblazer. That's definitely a newsworthy story. But Floyd Ingram, he didn't even write the story that he put in the paper on October 24th. He didn't write that one. He plagiarized it. So he basically proved that he was not going to put any energy or effort behind covering the story of a prominent African-American female. So he became belligerent, and then he threatened Ms. Rhymes. He said, I'm going to have you arrested if you don't leave my building right now. And then he went on to say to Ms. Rhymes that not only am I going to have you arrested, I'm going to take your mugshot and put on the front page of my weak, poorly circulated, barely read declining revenue newspaper. That was his threat to Ms. Rhymes, who's 80 years old, a pillar of the community. What do you think about that, Ben?
Hey, I think that's just an expression of, like you said, his misogynist and racist ways. You know, in the wake of George Floyd and the Me Too movement, just to exhibit racism and any misogynistic ways toward women, and more specifically African American women. And you all, you control the media. I mean, you have a powerful tool in your hand, and to be able to use that to further your racist agenda is.
Oh well, we're still at the tip of the iceberg. But John, I'm gonna let you talk about Ms. Rhymes.
So he chose to victimize. Well, first of all, Ms. Rhymes, I graduated from high school with his son. Ms. Rhymes was my French teacher as well. He took someone who is of the community, for the community, by the community, and basically took her opinion and took it upon himself to voice that it didn't merit anything other than a 1962ish reaction of scare tactics.
Well, he preyed on the weak and the vulnerable.
Right.
That he would never do that to a real man, but he plays on the weaknesses of women or males that he feel like he can intimidate. And so and he don't like women black or white, okay? Because there's another incident that's been reported where one of his female employees, he cut her off in traffic, backed up the traffic in the middle of the street, and it became belligerent with her in the middle of the street. This is an employee. Now, we all know what bullying is, and we know that bullying also exists in the workplace. And so more than 76 million people are victims of workplace bullying every year. And this guy seems to take some sort of pleasure out of trying to show dominance over people that he feels like are weaker than him. And so he prey on the weak to further his own agenda. But the guy doesn't have a truthful bone in his body. He has taken a newspaper that at least has some credibility, and he's taking it down the drain where nobody believes what he's right, because he doesn't allow his employees to report on African American events. But before we go there, just talk about the comment where he stopped the employee, female employee, in the middle of the street and became belligerent with her. Could you imagine if your mom came home and told you that a guy did her like that? I mean, think about it.
That's a disturbing experience. And I know you said 78 million people, experience workplace bullying or some sort of discrimination. And 5 out of 10 of those people actually commit suicide. There are actually statistics that show that those people are actually, commit suicide because of depression on the workplace. And I just feel like to invoke your will, on a woman, not only just men, but more specifically women, it just speaks to his character, what kind of individual for.
What do you think, John?
I think it's another version of media and social oppression. So he basically is taking his position and being able to oppress his employees or oppress the people that are under him. I think he takes it a step way too far. And now is the time. Now is the time where movements are started. When the bullies are getting hit back in the face.
Right. And but here's the thing. He has a total contempt for the entire community, and particularly the African American community. And but he doesn't discriminate on his discrimination now. I mean, women, African American, Jewish, anti-Semitism. We're going to discuss all of that tonight. You're just a horrible human being. And I don't understand how any company in America would employ someone like that. And we just came off a year where we were named Inc. magazine one of the best places to work in America. And then to hear a story about such a foul individual who have spent their career trying to destroy and tear people apart. So let's talk about, what does Floyd Ingram think about the school teachers? We know that school teachers are underpaid. We know that coaches invest their time and oftentimes their personal resources to keep kids off the streets, to give them meaningful activities to do. And coaches leave a lasting impression on the kids that they coach. You know, I still have some of my fondest memories of high school. Almost all of my fondest memories of high school involve Coach Bennett, Coach Murphy, Coach Jennings, Coach Hughes, Coach Brown, those men who took me in and taught me leadership, taught me how to be a winner. But Floyd Ingram says that the teachers in Coahoma County are lazy. He wrote this in the newspaper. They're lazy and uncommitted. And these people are underpaid. Underpaid. And that, what do you think about that, John?
Well, I think that he's gone too far. He has, really began to take what was once a great paper again. The Clarksdale Press Register used to be something that on every Saturday morning after every football game, I went and grabbed a copy of it. The Clarksdale Press Register used to come to your door every day. I remember a lot of my friends, their first job was delivering the newspaper, riding through the neighborhood. That was an ideal job as a kid coming up, is to be the newspaper. Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to do it.
Nah. What do you think, Ben?
Garbage man. I come from a line.
That's the business he's in. He's in the garbage business. He's the garbage man, not the newspaper man.
I come from a line of educators, from my grandparents, my grandmother to my parents, and it's embarrassing, and it's diminishing for me to hear someone, call my parents or my grandparents lazy educators in the community that they have worked in and fought for.
Well, what kind of human being would write something about that insults an entire profession that we must have? Now, we can agree that some teachers may not need to be teaching. We can agree that some police officers don't need to be in policing. There are bad actors in every profession, but to use a broad net and call all teachers lazy and uncommitted is just unbelievable. I mean, but the insults don't stop there, right? The guy went on to write another article where he insulted everyone that lives in public housing. Now, before I get into the details of insult, okay, we can agree that there are things wrong with public housing. There's things that could be fixed with the public housing system. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. That's a fact. Right. But to write an article and say this country and this county, I guess we don't live in this country. Right. So he said this country and this county are fed up with people living in public housing, driving fancy cars with $50 manicures. I guess he went to the nail shop and did a price check. I didn't know. I didn't know how much a manicure costs. But anyway, and he said they swiped their EBT cards. And this again, so now you're talking about, this is a whole nother class of people that he's taken his little platform and has chosen to say something negative about, to insult, to humiliate for no reason. I mean, what do you think?
It's disturbing because, just as I stated, my parents are educators, and leaders in the community now. We were once living in Eastgate, maybe it was for 6 months, but we lived in Eastgate, maybe we used it, maybe it was only for a recent time, but we used those, that assistance from the government. And now my parents are successful individuals in our community. And to hear you not only call the educators lazy, but then you talk about the individuals who are giving assistance.
But he has nothing good to say about, he never has anything good to say. What I'm trying to tell you is this. There's a story right there in Clarksdale, Mississippi, where a person lived in public housing and went on to be one of the largest public housing developers and owners of public housing in the nation. Okay, that's a real life story right there in Clarksdale, Mississippi. But he would never talk about anything positive, right? His goal is to make everything negative. So, John, what do you think?
Well, I think it's almost laughable, that his social philosophy. that he takes his social philosophy and try to spread it, through the Clarksdale Press Register, being able to use his platform to paint a negative connotation of people who are unpaid, people who are underserved, people who are underprivileged, overworked,
and oftentimes now working in dangerous conditions.
And these people make up about 75-80% of the Clarksdale, Mississippi, Oklahoma County area. And so he's sitting there and he's going to take his platform to further twist the knife in the backs of the citizens.
But that's his specialty. That's his specialty. So let's talk about the Juke Joint Festival in Clarksdale, Mississippi. So the Juke Joint Festival is a festival that has a rich heritage in Clarksdale. People come out every year, enjoy it, right? And this past year, unfortunately, 3 people were shot at the Juke Joint Festival. Right. Floyd Ingram writes an article about the Juke Joint Festival and the 3 people that got shot. A little small article tucked away in the paper that says that it was a great festival. It's unfortunate the shooting happened, but it put a black eye on the festival. Okay, fair reporting. African American male put together an event to bring the community together, same location, and 3 get shot. The shooter was not at the event. It was someone that was just committing apparently some random act of violence. May have been shooting at me. I don't know. The bullet came off the close. So I just don't know what could have brought that on. This guy wrote a front page article, two different sections, and then called the DJ a rapper DJ. Now, so I want somebody to tell you, what is a rapper DJ?
I've been black all my life. I don't know what a rapper DJ is.
What?
Definitely rapper DJ.
I think that
rapper and a DJ, rapper DJ.
He said that it was a rapper DJ, and the DJ was a 22-year educator that doesn't play rap music. He referenced rap music that he saw at the football game and said that the events that occurred at the football game, he wrote in this article to make it seem like the people were out dancing to rap music at the downtown stage. When he was, the only video of people dancing to rap music was at the actual football game. But that's how he conflate facts to create a story to just try to create a negative image. So I'm gonna tell you what a rapper DJ is to Floyd Ingram. It's a racial overtone. It's a racial. It's designed to bring a rapper who he sees as a negative person, and we all know while there are some rappers we can agree are not role models or whatever, but there are a lot of rappers who are very positive and are doing great things in their community. And so he put the term rapper on there because in his little mind, his little racist, distorted mind, he felt like that would make it negative. We call that a dog whistle.
Yeah, a
dog whistle, exactly. And that's what he did. The rapper DJ.
Yeah, he was sounding an alarm.
Yeah,
he was sounding the sound of an alarm to say, "Hey, this is what I mean by black people."
Yeah, and of course we know he don't like black people because he has instructed his staff not to cover black events. And we need to look no further than just the last month to see. Clarksdale High School had a homecoming.
Correct.
No coverage. Coahoma County had a homecoming. Local high school, no coverage. No feature of the homecoming court in the paper. And I remember being a kid and playing football in Clarksdale High and winning Player of the Week and winning awards and Mr. Bush and Mr. Ketchens, they would be out there, man. They'll take those pictures. They'll be at the
Graham Media.
Yeah, man, Graham Media, and they gave us, equal access. And I still remember how powerful and impactful those moments were as a kid. Being able to open that paper and see yourself in there. At Rest Haven, we used to go get the Player of the Week trophy, to see yourself with that trophy, or to open the paper and see your stats in the paper, to know how many tackles you had, to know that you made the newspaper. And he is robbing the black kids in that community of that opportunity for no other reason than he just don't like black people.
You can take it a step further. when we were coming up, your sassy street t-ball league, pony league stats would be in the Clarksdale.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there would be people who wrote about youth league basketball when Billy Joe Fields had youth league over at Higgins basketball team. So it just goes to show the social climate that if someone is enabled in Florida, you know, to continue, you know, to do that. You know, if one of us had done that, I think it would be a U-Haul at our house already.
Yeah, we need to send a U-Haul up there. But what do you think about it? Rock is of exposure.
Not only the kids. I mean, I'm
The
actually one of those. I'm one of those students who spent a lot of time in the newspaper, and it made me feel good for my grandparents or my aunts or my grandfather to give me a call saying, "Hey man, we see you in the newspaper." You know, and it's a shame that everyone doesn't get that opportunity. I even have a cool story of one of my close friends, Zach Brooks. He owns Brooks Transportation in Clarksdale. He did a water drive where they gave away 6,000 bottles of water to individuals in Clarksdale. And prior to the date, he requested coverage from Clarksdale Press Register, and they indicated that they would be there. To make a long story short, the day came and no coverage was made. So my friend went to the Clarksdale Press Register and asked them to run the story. And he gave them photos and evidence of the actual drive. And Floyd Ingram said that he didn't have space in it for his paper, but he could do it for $450.
So he charged the man $400 as for an ad.
Yes, to tuck it away.
To tuck it away in the paper.
Yeah.
And he came in the community trying to help.
Yeah.
But then he's the first person to get in the paper and talk about the community. Like he said, he put in one paper, Clarksdale is the most godliest community that he has ever lived in. And I want to make sure we're clear. I'm not saying he allegedly did anything. I'm saying he did. Okay? Right. He said Clarksdale is the most godliest community that he's lived in. And Floyd Ingram don't like what I'm saying. I got time today. Right. I said what I said. That's what he said. Now, why are you there? Right. Why would you go somewhere and be somewhere if it's the? I mean, come on, John.
If you're saying it's the worst place you ever, right, it's the worst place you ever lived, leave. Right.
That's what everybody want anyway. Right. I think you'll make everybody. In fact, I'll give you a $1,000 relocation allowance if you leave in the morning. If you get somebody to reach out to me, I cash out you $5,000 tomorrow. If you'll leave tomorrow by noon. By noon. So just think about it.
I think he may be gone by noon tomorrow.
He needs to take that relocation back.
Right.
He'll leave with it or without it. I mean, but this is the type of stuff this guy is publishing in the local newspaper that tear people down, things that tear the community apart, things that cause people to have anxiety. And what he's doing is he has control over employees, so he berates the employees, using anti-Semitic statements, on one employee with a calling a local pastor, using anti-Semitic language towards one of his employees. Who does that and continue to work in a profession and nothing happens? Floyd Ingram. So far, Floyd Ingram has been able to beat the odds. He's in Clarksdale since 2019, roughly. And he had the audacity just today to go to a meeting, Rotary Club meeting, and say that if a white person in Clarksdale shoot an African American, that they would have problems because you're not getting a fair trial. Now, this is what I want to know, and so I know this is unbelievable stuff. So I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna let y'all hear Floyd Ingram say this himself. Who white person has shot an African American in Clarksdale and got away with it? Went to trial and got away with it? Where's this coming from? Where's the scenario coming from? There's no evidence to support that. There's no white people that shot African Americans. My knowledge, at least in the last 20, 30 years that I'm aware of, So where would you get this information from?
Right.
So let's listen to Floyd Ingram.
Thank you, Charles. All right, I think we're gonna do that. I want to give you the cup. I want to say one thing. How many of y'all were in the military? All right, it's training, guys. Y'all, I don't have to tell y'all. The rest of you out there, it's all about training. This is a highly trained professional that knows how to use a firearm, and they're the ones you need to call. I'm gonna say this to the white folks in the room: you shoot somebody in Colma County and they're African American, your peers, things may not go your way, folks, and you're in Parchment all of a sudden. I'm sorry, that's just how it goes. You're not gonna have time to think about it, but you better train it. Back to what I said, if you're trained to use a weapon, it makes a big difference. Am I wrong, Sheriff?
The P3 Group is a proud supporter of HBCUs. We recognize the value of our HBCUs that have filled the educational gap for communities of color for more than a century. As one of the nation's leading real estate development firms, we recognize that the real value of building community is in empowering its people. We are the P3 Group. Design, build, finance. You can bank on us.
All right, we back. So there you hear it out of Floyd Ingram's own mouth, because I know that the things we say, you just like, this is unbelievable. Everything we say, we have proof of. We have receipts for what we're talking about. So these are not allegations, these are facts. Okay? Yeah. And then he goes, I mean, there's no white people shooting black people in cars. Why even bring that topic up? The man loves divisiveness. He wants to divide the community. He wants to use his paper as a bullying mechanism for people that he feels like he can use that against. But Floyd Ingram is a white fellow. He's a horrible human being. I mean, it's just so unpacked with Floyd on the things that he has done to people within the community. Is there anything you want to bring up about Floyd Ingram, man?
Well, Floyd, he hasn't covered a newsworthy story since 2019. There are several Clarksdale successes, myself, yourself, Dr. Harold Matthews, the young man from Clarksdale that has won several Emmy, Stan Jones, and the things that he's doing with the Mississippi Mass Choir and winning Grammy nominations of the country. Clarksdale speaks very loudly, but in its hometown, your own hometown press,
Well, Floyd Ingram had made it a point since he's been there not to cover anything I do, which I don't want Floyd Ingram to cover anything I do anyway. So I was perfectly fine with that. Okay. All of the community service we've done, all the phenomenal work that we've done around the country and in the Caribbean, with the P3 Group. He hasn't covered that. They have a 5-page story on me. And what Max, I sit on Forbes Real Estate. I do all these amazing things, 2 PBS TV shows. Right. And Floyd Ingram has never called me about anything. Okay. But what Floyd Ingram wanted to do was to associate me with a tragedy where 3 people got shot. And that's the first time he wanted to drop my name into an article. And here's the irony of it. I knew he was going to do it. Because when we came and we did the endowment, and Floyd didn't know I was affiliated with it, he was out there taking pictures. We got receipts, text messages, getting ready to do this big story on the endowment to the care station. And then what did he do?
We found out it was from the ground, found us he emailed, he texted me to kick you.
Right.
Yeah. Posted stuff.
Right. Yeah. And so he doesn't cover me, and that's fine because nobody reads the paper anyway. The paper has no credibility. Everyone in the community knows the game that Floyd Ingram is running. And I just feel like the jig's up. I think people need to pull their advertising from the paper. People need to cancel their subscription. We got the Clarksdale Advocate, development, and it's on the way to say today so that the city of Clarksdale can have news because the Clarksdale Advocate for the community, by the community. That what they have right now, if you just look at the website, Okay, the website has not been updated since probably 1995. When did websites first come out?
Maybe 1995.
Whenever,
Yeah,
19, yeah, you know, I mean, so you don't even care about what you're presenting to the public. Who runs a business and have an antiquated website for decades? It's just a lack of concern and compassion for the people in that community. And so Floyd list of mistreatment of African Americans, Jewish people, women is unparalleled to anything that I've ever seen. And I know we haven't covered everything that Floyd Ingram has done to the citizens of Clarksdale. There's much, much more. But I think that Floyd needs to understand that together we stand. I think the community is united behind this movement. What do you think, Tom?
Definitely. I think Clarksdale needs, people that have the political maturity to understand that just because you don't agree with the left or the right doesn't mean you have to push your nose off the spot. Clarksdale needs people who understand that together as a community, the community comes together. I can remember playing football for Coach Jesse Murphy. I can also remember playing football for Coach Curtis King. Neither one of those are black men or white, and neither one of those call us division. I've had white teammates, I have black teammates. Yep. Clarksdale is a town of blood. If you look at Lee Academy's Facebook page, Lee Academy shared Clarksdale High School victory, their district championship.
But guess what? Unfortunately, they were not. I mean, I'm glad they did that and showed the unity, but they realized that there's a void in the community. They realized that Floyd Ingram is cheating the people. And so let's just talk about Floyd Ingram's fake news reporting some more. So we were supposed to do housing community, grocery store, etc. in the city of Clarksdale. And Floyd Ingram loved running stories about the project that didn't materialize.
Right.
But this is the part of the story that Floyd Ingram won't tell you, because he was part of the small group of unprogressive individuals that conspired to kill the deal. And I got receipts that I posted on social media. Okay. The first landowner wanted twice the appraised value for the property. Right. Okay. Property that leases, it wouldn't fetch in their lifetime. It's not going to bring that amount of money on leasing it to as farmland, but he wanted twice that amount of money. That's his property. Okay. The second owner agreed to sell, made an all-cash offer, and had surveying work done, subdivided the land, the whole nine. And then he went and met with this small collective in Clarksdale who are anti-progressive. And he came back and told he changed his mind. He didn't want to sell the land. The owners of the grocery store, the former Kroger grocery store, said they wanted to sell that building for about $870,000, but they wanted to sell it to a nonprofit organization so that they could get the write-off for whatever the difference in what the appraised value was and what they sold it for. Our nonprofit arm, 501c3, we made an all-cash offer to buy the store. He met with the small Clarksdale collective, and he said he wasn't selling. So print the truth in the paper, Floyd Ingram. Tell them that a small group of narrow-minded, evil individuals killed the deal. You know this because that's who you run with. Professional deal killers.
And not even think about when we brought group in New York.
Yes.
And they were staying at Yazoo Bay. And they were approached by some individuals, probably Floyd was in that group, but asked them, why would anybody want to open up, start a business in Clarksdale?
Right. He on one side of the table, he's trying to destroy the town, and then he gets behind his keyboard and type or copy and paste or whatever he's doing to get his article and make it seem like the town is the most horrible place on earth. But guess what? If you would go out into the community that is 85% black and try to cover some of the positivity that's going on in the community, you can have some positive stories to cover. You know, He was so infuriated by 3 people getting shot at an event hosted by an African American. Like, what was the rage when 3 people got shot at the Juke Joint Festival? He said, whose idea was it? It was my idea, Floyd. It was my idea. It was my idea that I could come to Clarksville, Mississippi, host an event, bring people together in a non-violent manner, and have a successful event. And we did that at 2 football games. We did that. Now, nobody can control what people do that are out of control, that are unhinged, that have no respect for human life. We can't control that. But that doesn't mean we're supposed to stop trying. Whose idea was it? Whose idea was it to do any of the festivals that happen downtown? You know, so it's a fake rage coming from fake news, from a fake individual who uses his platform to stigmatize people, to dehumanize people, to try to criminalize people. For the longest, when you go to their website, the first thing you see on the page is mugshots. That's what he loved to do, is to bring the negativity to the paper and to the community, and then hide behind he's supposed to be a conservative Christian. Now, he may be a cheap guy that knows some Christians, or a cheap guy related to somebody who last name Christian, but he ain't no conservative and he ain't no Christian, because no human being with any type of journalistic integrity, with any type of human values, moral values, or otherwise, would constantly use a platform that he could use for good. He could take the paper and try to make something out of it, just not using it for good. But he refuses to do that because he doesn't want to paint African American in a positive light. He wants to invoke his will over the weak, over his employees, over women, over males that he perceives to be weaker than him, because he's not going to go out and do that to everyone. He knows exactly who he can do that to and get away with it. You know, it's just that simple. And I don't understand why none of these employees have gone to the EEOC and filed a complaint. Because I know that the owners know. I got proof that the owners know. So I don't understand why. I mean, we have lawyers on standby who will be willing to represent you. All you gotta do is just inbox me on Facebook, and we'll pair you up with a lawyer who can get you out of that situation. Because nobody deserves to come to work and be afraid of their employer. You know, where they are afraid that a physical altercation is going to occur. No one should be in that type of work environment. I mean, it's hostile. It's mental, it's mental abuse. It's a horrible way to live. And so, John, any closing remarks for Floyd Ingram?
Well, Floyd, again, you got your severance offer to leave town
by noon tomorrow.
Hopefully you take that up. But one thing you need to do is tonight. I know you're gonna watch this. You pray. You just pray and you ask for your soul to be cleansed. But this is terrible. A terrible thing that you're doing in my hometown, Clarksville. I'm a Clarksville ambassador everywhere I go. And I speak nothing but good for you. You can't control violence. Violence is everywhere in the United States, everywhere in every country. But what you can control is you can control your opinion. You can control what you type. If you continue to put negativity into the universe, that's all you're going to have is negativity.
But here's my question for Floyd Ingram. Since everything is so horrible and bad, and listen, we know that there are issues in Clarksville that need to be addressed. What are the solutions? Why is he not sitting down? He's so concerned. He cares so much. Why is he not offering any solutions for any of these issues? Why he's not sitting down at the round table with the city and the county, trying to put together, some type of citizen group to try to help come up with solutions? In fact, name something that Floyd Ingram has ever done to help anyone.
He's busy continuing the problem. That's what
he's perpetuating the problem. He's highlighting the problem, and guess what? Nobody in that community is interested in what he's doing. Neither the black or white community are standing by and backing up Floyd Ingram and what he's doing. The guy is terrible. he's a terrible human being. He's terrible for Clarksdale. He's terrible for humanity. You know, and he really need to do some soul searching. Search your soul, find your Christianity for real, because I don't know what Bible that he's studying or reading from that lead him to believe that attacking an 80-year-old woman, threatening to arrest a pillar of the community for nothing, threatening to put her mugshot on the front page of the newspaper for no reason. What Christian values are those?
He's probably reading the same one that they read before that ship came across the Northwest Atlantic Pass, dropped some people off. Charleston, South Carolina. That's probably you probably.
Ben, you got any closing remarks for?
Yeah, man, I just want to close with saying that Clarksdale, our community, this is not the time for divisiveness. This is not the time for anyone with the Floyd Ingram mentality. Whether it be Floyd or anyone else in the community with those same feelings toward our community. This is not the time for divisiveness, and this is not the time for ridicule in our community. This is the time to bridge the gap and come together. And I would hope that Floyd, you take a severance package, and we don't see you after tomorrow.
Yeah, and for those that are watching, we got Clarksdale High School and the Academy, right, playing in the playoff game. Go out to support the school. Maybe Floyd Ingram will do like he did last week and go to the game and try to report on the game accurately and fairly. But this is a matter that the citizens are going to have to take this to the economic bootstraps of the Clarksdale Press Register.
Right.
You're going to have to pull your ads. You're going to have to pull your subscriptions. You're going to have to do what it takes to put the economic pressure on them. And when we bring the Clarksdale Advocate to Clarksdale, a lot of things that you've been paying for, you won't have to pay for no more. And so we hope to bring something to the community, for the community, and by the community. And so thank you for watching. This has been The Sky's the Limit with Dee Brown CEO. Thanks for joining me.